behind us is
Kevin Spacey has been leaving the courtroom
after
being
cleared.
Exonerated cleared on all charges, not guilty on all charges, 9 charges.
I imagine that many of you can understand that there's a lot for me to process after what has just happened today. But I would like to say that I'm enormously grateful to the jury for having taken the time to examine all of the evidence and all of the facts carefully before they reach their decision. And I am humbled by the outcome today.
This is why we made the Kevin Spacey Trial Unfiltered podcast.
Yes. Please go, listen to the episodes, leave a rating, leave a review.
You may wonder why we were interested in Kevin Spacey. He may not share our values, he may not, he's a Hollywood, probably liberal, but this was as a result of journalistic malfeasance, mob justice and Me Too friends. This was BuzzFeed News, the people who published the fake Steele dossier.
And interestingly enough, can I just say, Phelim, that when we were in the court and we heard count after count, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, 9 times on the nine charges that were left after there was an original at 12, they were brought down to 9. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. You could literally feel the energy from the journalists, the negative energy. They were super disappointed. Which I think is an interesting thing.
We made the Kevin Spacey Trial Unfiltered to expose media corruption, to expose mob justice, to expose the Me Too friendly, and call for the rule of law for everyone. Justice denied for people like Kevin Spacey is justice denied for all of us.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
And next, after they changed the law, to come after Kevin Spacey, then they went after Trump by that very law.
And they're coming after you next.
So go and watch the Kevin Spacey Trial Unfiltered wherever you get your podcasts. Go to kevinspaceypodcast.com. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anne McElhenney.
And my name is Phelim McAleer.
Welcome to the Anne and Phelim Scoop from London Town.
London, Texas. London Town.
London Town.
And we're not tired of life, are we?
We're not tired of life, and that's a good quote, actually, to start the show with. If you're tired of London, you're tired of life. My mother said that a lot, but it's not her original quote, is it, Phelim?
No, it's her mother's quote. Actually.
No, it's not. No. It is actually...
Samuel Johnson, the great diarist and dictionary compiler.
And you might notice that I'm wearing a scarf and all of that, so that you know that you're hearing an awful lot of stories about Europe in flames and burning and all of that. Well, it ain't burning here.
No.
they've missed out on the old global warming here in London now. It's a bit chilly now.
It's frightfully chilly.
Chilly.
And the rain go to Spain, I think is the...
And actually, there's a photograph there of Tarbert. There's a photograph. Look at the scary clouds out there. And look at Phelim. Look at Phelim sitting comfortably at a lovely restaurant. So yes, we're here in London for a number of reasons.
What a weekend we had!
We've had a fabulous weekend.
Yeah. So what's on the show today? We had an amazing play on at the weekend. Mermaids versus the Alliance, exposing the trans madness, the madness of the trans ideology. In a play, it was, I think the capacity of the venue was 150. We had 175 crammed.
Please don't tell anyone at the fire department.
Yes. There was literally people standing at the bar.
And it's one of those things, it's kind of one of those things I think that must happen, when you're having a live event. It's like, you have that thing where, and by the way, it poured rain, which I thought, okay, that's going to mean we're going to have a load of people not coming.
There was a train strike.
And there was a train strike. And despite that, we had people, somebody came from Cornwall, somebody came from Leeds.
Somebody came from Scotland.
Somebody came from Scotland. People were coming from all over the place.
I mean, they say when you have a live event, oversell by 20% because 20% won't turn up. Everyone who we gave a ticket to or sold a ticket to turned up. And more. Some people even turned up at the door. So it was amazing. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. What else is on the show? Oh, who's a gas bag?
Who's a gas bag?
We know who's a gas bag. So that's what Alec Baldwin called me.
He did.
Before he shot that girl.
And I think he not days before he shot that girl, but in the past he did call Phelim a gas bag. I think he used other choice adjectives that were
including slurs on my nationhood.
I thought slurs also on your physical presence in the world. Did he use some derogatory terms about the shape of you?
Perhaps.
I think he might have done.
I hope he didn't. Did he body shame me?
I think he might have body shamed you, but this is, by the way, that's a little historical thing because this is before body shaming became a thing.
But I mean, this is one thing. I mean, I know I think he's beaten the charges, or he's not going to be charged now with that incident, in New Mexico. And I remember people saying at the time, well, it could happen to anyone, and I'm going, yeah, but if you were to put a list of 100 actors on, who is most likely on this list of actors to shoot someone on a movie set, he'd be pretty up there at the top. I'm just saying.
But it's also a thing, it just reminds me, by the way, it's also a thing where he's a guy who has been around guns for years, because he has been in movies that we've been using guns for years. I can say, as somebody who has not been around guns for my life, I remember you'll remember this film a few years ago, visiting Katie Pavlik's parents in Arizona. Very nice parents. A lovely shout out to those guys. And they have guns, whatever. And so for some reason we were looking at the gun and whatever, and I definitely held the gun inappropriately, and oh my God, was I quite quickly dealt with, basically. But correctly so, right? So, I mean, it's almost understandable in the case of somebody like myself who's never really held a gun in my life, so I held it inappropriately. However, Alec Baldwin knows very, very well how to hold a gun. Anyway, we're moving on. Sorry,
can I just say,
even
ignorance is no defense. Even if you're not, then you shouldn't have picked the gun up.
True.
If the gun had gone off and injured someone, you don't pick the gun up.
Yes, I'm a grown-up. Yes.
What else? Oh yeah, who's a gas bag?
Who's a gas bag?
Yes, that nobody likes. Wait for the latest news on my old
nemesis,
old film nemesis, Josh Fox. The Flaming Faucet line filmmaker, Josh Fox.
Oh, Flaming Faucet.
We got an update on his latest
us with the alliteration
project. Yes. So at the weekend we had our play Mermaids versus the Alliance, which was on in the Camden Club in London. It was a one-night staged reading. Have a look at some of these pictures. I mean, literally, people are hanging onto the rafters. People are standing on chairs to get a better view. It was an amazing, and so this is a play based 100% verbatim, based on a court case where Mermaids, which is a trans youth charity, in other words, lobbying like hell to have your children put on puberty blockers,
castrated.
And
double mastectomies.
Yep, destroyed for life. And then the LGB Alliance, which is basically a consortium of lesbians, gays, bisexuals who are saying this is madness. And also they say, people used to be accused of praying away the gay, that you would pray and try and stop people being gay. Trans madness is a new way of transing away the gay. Most of the people who report for trans puberty blockers and get on that pathway are young gay men and women, and they are not told maybe you're gay, they're told you're trans, because this is the new cool thing, and all the institutions have been bought into and corrupted, and it's destroying lives of people. Or they could be depressed, or they could be schizophrenic, or they could be bipolar, but they're told the answer to their solution is you were born in the wrong body. That lie that you were born in the wrong body. So I know it sounds serious, but when there is no defense of that behavior, so when you try and defend the indefensible, it becomes very, very funny. And I think that's the thing that came out of this play, is this is very, very funny. It was in the Camden Club, which is kind of a venue, a musical venue, a comedy venue. It was actually suited well, gave it a speakeasy guerrilla theatre feel to it.
Yes.
We are looking for other venues in the UK. I know we have an international cast of listeners
in the UK, by the way, and in the US. We're definitely, because this play will travel beautifully, and I mean, Phelim's right about. It's kind of interesting right now with this trans situation. A lot of these trans activists are unwilling to debate because their position is so ludicrous. And they know that in a debate situation, they do really, really badly. And that became particularly clear here in the United Kingdom, where in Scotland, the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, could not defend the madness of the policies that she was adopting. And she basically had to step down.
She let two violent rapists into prison. All you had to do was
say that you were a woman.
Say you're a woman and live, apparently, and say that you had lived as a woman for 3 months, and suddenly you were in a woman's prison. So two violent rapists were allowed in women's prisons. Let's listen. Afterwards, I did some interviews, although I was pretty tired, I have to say. I did some interviews with members of the audience. Let's hear what they had to say.
Why did you come here tonight?
Well, I came here tonight because the treatment of young gay and lesbian and bisexual youth is a pressing issue, and so many people who ordinarily would describe themselves as such are being fed a lie, and it's harming their long-term health, and that concerns me. I thought it was brilliant. I think it's really an indictment on Mermaids that so much of their dialogue from a court case can be taken verbatim, and that can be comedy. I mean, the comic timing of the actors who portrayed some frankly brilliant lawyers and activists was brilliant, but it's not a patch on the stupidity of those people who work for Mermaids.
You say it's a comedy. Well, surely it's serious.
I mean, it's serious, but it's impossible to take it seriously. The issues are serious, but it's hard to take. It's hard not to laugh when something is frankly that ridiculous. You laugh or you cry, and as we all know, Kate Harris cried. It was so, awful. No.
Would you like to see it in a theatre and a run, or do you think this should go? What do you think should happen this play?
I think it should be shown to anybody who is on the fence. It would be wonderful if a larger theatre would put this on. I mean, it's a packed house tonight. There are people standing up. There are people sitting down. There are people sitting on each other's laps. I think if people are given the chance to see it, it will change minds. People who are passive at the moment will end up, they'll choose our side of the fence, really.
Absolutely loved it. I loved the audience participation, how funny it was. I really thought it was really good, and really I got to know more about the situation and their political, stuff.
Yeah, coming in, absolutely no idea what the whole situation had been going on or the story behind it. Heard a few fragments, but it really delivers it in a really very entertaining, very engaging, and completely learned something by the end of it. I was just completely learned something by the end of it. This, what is going on, the conversation that is happening. It's just it's phenomenal what has transpired that nobody knows about, that isn't really out there, that needs to be talked about because it's going on. It's something that could blow up and become very dangerous, and it should be talked about right now. And this is the thing to do it.
You say it's a comedy, or it was funny. What do you mean?
Oh, I thought the actors, the way that they interacted with each other, and their script was just really funny, the way they did it, and I loved it. And you can almost hear the conversations. It was a really good.
It's the hypocrisy you find funny in it, isn't it? It's the thing that was going on was the fact that they're calling people out on something which is just you're making something simple hypocritical in a way, and it becomes funny when they got called out, which engaged, obviously the audience loved it, but I found that really brought you in on a level of that's just a really stupid thing to be saying, and you've just been called up on it in a court of law, because it's the real transcribe, isn't it? It's people are saying this stuff. Why are you saying this stuff? What's going on? You just sound like an idiot, and you've just been called out on it. That's why we're all laughing, because it's a very human story with humans saying stupid things about something very serious.
And you said you had no knowledge of this really before you came?
No, I had a very simple outline, because we heard from the director David, who told us roughly what was going on, because he thought we would know about it, being as we're in the UK. He's going, have you heard about what's going on here? We're like, no. So Hannah done some research. I didn't know much about it. Came in today and then just, look, we got a few friends in the same situation that it really, especially over in America, that it really kind of calls out. I'd love them to hear what was going on here, because a lot that was what was happening here and what was discussed in this show really kind of resonated.
It is scary for our children as well. That whole thing is scary. So it really kind of brought that to light, and I learned something too. So I loved it.
I get lifted up when I think about what Kate and what Bev are doing and have done, as well as some other people as well, of course, in this fight. But really, to be honest, they give me the courage to go on.
What did you think about the play tonight?
It was good. It was great fun. Yeah, it was nice. It was really lovely being surrounded by a bunch of people who were kind of feeling as we feel, which is really nice. It felt a bit like panto season, but it was, it was also hard and really eye-opening to watch how difficult it was for Kate to watch herself being portrayed and to go through her emotions again. And then you see the toll that it takes on them as well. And although they can come across as really strong, that actually it's really tough for them too. It's really tough for them too. And they do it. They do it for others.
But there's a lot of laughs there too.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were all enjoying it. We were all enjoying it. I mean, my goodness. Yes. I suppose it's just the inaneness of the points that the other side have to make. How they go round and round in circles, how they keep claiming that they don't have expertise, how they keep claiming that everything is a bloody spectrum. Apologies for my French. Everything's a spectrum, nothing is binary, and everything is everything else, and the whole world is upside down.
I've woken up really to the gender ideology in the last year when I read Helen Joyce's Trans. I really hadn't been in the picture because I don't think it's covered by the media. I fought for gay rights. I fought against Clause 25, Section 28. We thought all our rights were done. We left the kids in the house alone for the weekend and they've burned it down because LGB has got nothing to do with the fetishes of the TQIA, and it's actually extremely harmful to young lesbians that are being transitioned with, I think that the play made it very clear, the 4,400% increase in teenage girls being mutilated by GIDS, and it's an absolute scandal, and I really wish success with this touring around.
Well, what did you think of the play?
It's good. I mean, it's really nice to be in a space with all these people that have all this energy. And obviously the actors and actresses all understand the transcripts and how really ridiculous the position of Mermaids and the gender ideology is against everyday common sense. But God forbid you say that anywhere nowadays that's indoctrinated by Stonewall. I mean, as a play that is just based on a court transcript, I wondered how that would work. But you've obviously taken the most ridiculous parts of a long court process, and the juxtaposition has really showed the idiocy of the gender ideology and the sort of trans brainwashing. And I think it's really promoted, the play really put across the impact on lesbians of this ideology, and it's done it without having to write anything else. These people have written their own ridiculous words, and it's very clear that actual disrespect for women and lesbians in those organisations. It's really nice to be in a positive environment tonight with great actors and actresses getting the message across.
2 words. What did you think of this?
Fantastic. That's 3 words.
Why?
Because I was following the tribunal when it happened. It was quite complicated. Went on for quite a long time. This condensed it into the most important bits. There's a couple of things you missed out which I regret. The chap with the comfort dog and the comfort human and that sort of thing. But it kind of summed it up, put it in a nutshell, and exposed the madness of the trans ideology and the common sense approach of the LGB Alliance.
What do you think? It's got a lot of laughs.
It was just hilarious. I mean, every time trans enthusiasts try and explain themselves and try and make out that it's real, you can't help laughing. It's just so funny. And the characters themselves are hilarious. The truth is always funny.
What do you think should be done with this play? What do you think of the idea of doing it as a play? Tell me about the format. What do you think of it?
If it was a play, I would pay to go and see it. I personally think it should be a musical, but maybe that's a stretch too far. But if it was a play, I would definitely go and see it. And this is a whole lot of really angry women and men who are watching this, who are desperately striving to overcome this ideology which promotes lies and just a complete a threat to children, to women, to gay men, and in fact to society as a whole. It's really that serious.
I'm Bev Jackson. I'm one of the co-founders of LGB Alliance, and I'm very happy to be here this evening to see the dystopia that we have in our society and that we are trying to exposed on stage, where I think it had more impact than it could have perhaps in any other way.
Oh, that's interesting. You thought you doing it as a play was effective?
I think it was extremely effective. It was very dramatic. We obviously experienced that drama while we were taking part of it, but to have it depicted partly as comedy, and it was black comedy, absolutely. But then when you realize that this black comedy, this dystopia that is so amusing on the stage, is actually having a devastating effect on children and on people around society, then you realize at the end, whoa, not so funny after all.
So tell me who you are and why you're here.
I'm Kate Harris. I'm co-founder of LGB Alliance with Bev. We're both committed to global revolution. And by that we mean that we will not stand by while children growing up like us who did not fit gender stereotypes are told that they're born in the wrong body. We've had a fabulous evening with the play, but it's a very serious mission. We think that the biggest global social and moral scandal is being spread around the world, where children are being told a fundamental lie that you can change sex. You cannot change sex.
How did it feel to hear your own words on the stage?
Well, I'm commonly known as the crying lesbian because I stopped the trial by sobbing uncontrollably when I was asked if a man with a penis should be a lesbian. We have had 3.5, nearly 4 years of people attacking us for saying basic truths. We're thrilled that this play has come on. We want it to be put on in every town, every city, to say sex is male or female, it is immutable, leave children alone, let everybody to grow up to be whatever they want, lesbian, gay, whatever it is, be happy, but do not tell children lies. So we're very, very grateful this production has taken place.
How do you feel about it as a play?
I think it's very effective and very important, and I really hope that you will be able to take it to America, where it is said all over America that some children are born in the wrong body. This is false. It is a lie. Nobody can be born in the wrong body any more than you can be born in the wrong country or on the wrong planet. You are born, you are your body, and to tell people this terrible lie and to present this complete nonsense that people who say, wait a minute, sex change hormones for teenagers, no, not such a good idea. Those people who are objecting to that, who point out there's no evidence base for it, and in fact there's plenty of evidence that it does more harm than good, those people are described, especially in America, as bigots, as fascists. And it is just astonishing. We are living in the upside down when people who say sensible things that everybody can check with their own eyes are depicted as bigots, and people who are telling the most outrageous nonsense are presented as the good guys.
How did it feel to hear your own words on stage?
Well, I didn't hear very many of my own words because I was told to answer the questions briefly, and I answered the questions briefly. Kate is more...
I didn't. I thought it was fabulous because it was mainly about me.
Kate is rightly the star of the show because she did... she made speeches because they were necessary. She speaks from the heart. She presents the emotion that you hear on stage, and the emotion that you heard from her reaction comes from her knowledge and my knowledge that this would have happened to us. If we had been growing up now, we would have been taking testosterone, we would have had beards, we would have had deep voices, we would have, and it would have...
Surgery.
And surgery, and
no sexual function, infertility. This is the wickedest form of child abuse and homophobia. And it's condoned by the United Nations, the European Union, most political parties, President Biden. These people have all lost their moral compass. And two old lesbians like us are speaking up against the voices of the world, funded by billionaires. We will never stop. We would rather die than give up this fight. And all the people who will see your play feel the same way as we do. Freedom of speech, do not lie to children, and for God's sake, do not take surgical measures to cut off children's genitals because of this shocking ideology. This is like hell on earth at the moment for gay and lesbian children.
And we really want to thank you for I mean, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you for seeing the drama and the importance of this issue and presenting it in this way, which I think is more accessible to ordinary people. I've heard from the actors.
Also, can I just say that?
No, you can't.
Sorry.
She always does this. And I've heard from the actors, not only that they had very little time to read the script, but that they knew nothing about these issues and that they are astonished at the depth of the way that these lies have infiltrated our society. When people hear the truth, and that is what we tell the truth, they understand the issues. We are prevented from telling the truth. It's not an accident that we are pretty old. Yeah, we're not so young, because we can afford to do this. We can afford to. Young people are very hesitant to present they tell us, they agree with us, but they say, I can't speak out because I will lose my job. And in America, they will also lose their health insurance. But people do agree with us. And because we can speak out, we have a duty to do so.
So you think it's important to do it as a play, or
Because if you dramatize it in this way and you show the absurdity, really, of those who oppose us, you see the illogicality of it. Once it is spelled out, it makes no sense. It is not just a lie, but it is illogical. It makes no sense. And people are not understanding this, because if they just read articles or they briefly see an item on the news, they're not aware of how illogical it is and how mendacious and how, really, I have to use the word evil here, because we're teaching children lies. And all parents are presented with their children who have gone online and heard that maybe a transition will solve all their problems. The parents are desperate. The parents go for advice. They go for advice to medics. Medics tell them, oh, well, in that case, your child is trans, and then you should take puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and have their breasts removed. And these parents are desperate. They're told that their children will otherwise commit suicide. This is a lie. There is no evidence at all that children who do not receive this treatment commit suicide. It is simply told because parents think, oh, no, I can't do this. Oh, but otherwise they will be dead. It is wrong. It is false. And this is a tissue of lies that is being spread around the world.
Well, as you can see, humour was a big thing there.
Yes.
Yeah, humour. And by the way, we filmed it, so we're going to have it available for everyone to see.
Actually, this is a really important point. Yeah, we filmed this. We had our crack team came with, and we had like multiple cameras. This has been recorded at a very high level, filmed at a very high level. We're going to edit it. It's going to take a while because we have multiple cameras, multiple audio tracks.
Can I just say, we had multiple cameras, but if you look at those pictures, it was so packed and so stuffy. The heat just went through the roof, and it became so hot that all the cameras shut down.
Luckily at different stages, so we still have captured everything, but it's going to make it a little bit of a nightmare for the editor. So the editor is going to take quite a while to get this, but we will get it to you as soon as we possibly can, and you'll get to see it. I would say, I just would say to people, this kind of work that we're doing is incredibly important. The arts and entertainment is dominated now with storylines which shoehorn in trans stories. You know, we mentioned, I think I've mentioned it before, you know, A Man Called Otto, which was, you know, a very brilliant novel written by a Scandinavian writer. The Scandinavian writer who wrote the original book never, ever, ever, ever had a trans character in it. When it came to be made a Hollywood movie with Tom Hanks, they changed the story, pushed in a trans character, because this is what they're doing now. They're putting, and I've just heard, and I haven't seen the Barbie movie, and by the way, just so you know, I have no intention of seeing the Barbie movie. But apparently the Barbie movie has one of the Barbies, so in other words, one of the women dolls, is a trans.
Is a man.
And
Is a man pretending to be a
is a
woman.
man pretending to be a woman. And equally, what's just happened to your film? Is it, what country is it here? Some country here in Europe, right? Is it in Europe where they've had a beauty contest?
Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
Miss Netherlands.
Miss
is now
Netherlands
a man.
is now a man pretending to be a woman, taking away, that spot for somebody who, and it's a career building thing, that for
That's
somebody.
right.
So this madness needs to be called out. And what's really marvelous about doing this, the way we've done it as a court case, is it's a play. It's very entertaining, but in the end, the people who are speaking are saying the words that were said by these people who believe these things. And when you hear what they believe exposed, as we have in this play, it is really extraordinary. And as the film said, it's funny, it's sad, it's scary, it's mad.
It also costs money.
Yes, actually, I want to get to the money bit.
Yes.
You're right. It does cost money. As you can imagine, us being here as well is costing a lot of money. We would really, really appreciate your help making this happen, making this possible. I mean, the point I kind of was trying to make was that the arts is dominated now. The left are dominating the arts, and the left are dominating are pushing this story everywhere. We are the only 501c3. We are the only conservative organisation that exists in the United States that is putting this into the culture, putting this on stage in a play. We're the only people doing that. There have been documentaries made. There have been scholarly books written, by the way, very important books, very important documentaries. However, entertainment is what the public access, the general public access entertainment.
Yes.
A lot of the general public don't want to read a scholarly book.
No.
They don't want to watch a documentary, but they will watch something entertaining. And our plan is that this play, when it's edited, it's going to go everywhere. And our other plan is to take it to a town near you and put it on stage.
The play.
Put the play on stage in a town near you with this. We'd love to take the original cast we have here from London, who are absolutely
superb,
fantastic.
Superb. And by the way, they suffered a lot of pressure. I mean, we had trouble finding a venue. When we did find a venue, the owner of the venue got hit emails.
Yes.
Then some of the cast got emails from their friends telling them not to do it.
Yeah.
So they were very brave. They're very strong. They wanted to tell the truth. But so to help us get this out here, we need your help. So please I know
please
that
donate what you can.
Many of you have donated, but if you haven't, if you like what we do, now's the time to support us, because it all helps. I mean, this is an Airbnb we're in. This costs money. The venue costs money.
Yeah.
The actors had to be paid. The film crew had to be paid. The editor has to be paid. But the product is worth it.
And the left are not scared to spend lavish, extraordinary sums of money on getting their ideology and that message, that hateful message, that message that's going to damage children forever and change. I mean, it's the worst thing that's happened since eugenics. That's my point.
How would they?
All you've got to do is go to unreportedstoriesociety.com, unreportedstoriesociety.com. But I was going to say that we have a generous donor who has donated $25,000, and we would be looking for someone to match that at any level. At any level, if you can come up to the...
It'll be doubled.
It'll be doubled, basically.
So go to unreportedstoriesociety.com.
unreportedstoriesociety.com and give what you can, because obviously we have very big bills to pay, but this is incredibly important work. And how you know how important it is that the left are doing it. In movies, in plays, in exhibitions, in poetry, in cartoons, in every children's book practically that is being produced today, there is these trans characters and teaching children complete confusion. So please support us.
So I just want to finish off with my favourite story. Mr. Josh Fox, you know Mr. Josh Fox of the Flaming Faucet, lying
Gasland
1, Gasland 2, who claimed that there was gas in the water, made your water go on fire, and then I confronted him at an event. Actually, let's play that tape of me confronting him.
Josh Fox is the director of Gasland, an Oscar-nominated documentary which claims the type of gas drilling known as fracking is polluting water. He says fracking has so polluted water that it is now flammable. He focuses on the Markham and McClure households in Colorado. But Josh Fox has not been telling the full story. I decided to question him at a recent Gasland screening in Chicago.
I just wanted to talk about the Markhams and McClures.
Sure.
Isn't it true that there's reports decades before fracking started that there was methane in the water there?
The Markhams and the McClures submitted a complaint to Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission came in and ruled the gas in those water wells as biogenic as opposed to thermogenic, which means there are different kinds of gas. You can decide where the gas is sort of coming from because of this chemical makeup of the gas. Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission then published a report saying the gas line was incorrect because we had misstated the facts that this biogenic gas was actually naturally occurring, so that Mike Markham and Renee McClure could light their water on fire before the fracking. But of course, there had been drilling going on in that area for 4 or 5 years, and the reports actually were that same year.
Then Josh Fox let slip that he was aware there were problems with naturally occurring flammable water many decades before fracking started.
But there's a report from 1976 which says...
But not with the Markhams, not with the Markhams and the McClures.
Troublesome amount of methane in the aquifer.
And what concentrations?
Troublesome amount of methane. Why didn't you include that there was a troublesome
The point is this. The citizens reported that they could not light their water on fire before the drilling. And after the drilling, they could light their water on fire.
But there is a report.
And in the case, well, I don't care about the report from 1976. There are reports from 1936 that people say they can light their water on fire in New York State. But that's no bearing on this situation at all.
I'm curious about why you didn't include relevant reports from 1976 or 1936 in the documentary.
There are also reports of people getting hit by cars in Denver in 1987. They're not relevant. There's a difference.
You owe a journalistic duty to show that there was problems with gas in water before fracking started.
But there weren't.
Troublesome amount of methane.
You show me the report and I'll tell you if I think the concentrations are valid. There is methane in groundwater. It happens.
Most people watching your film would think that lighting your water started with fracking. You've said yourself, people lit their water long before fracking started. Isn't that correct?
Well, yes, but it's not relevant.
Yeah, so that started being an odyssey, which ended up with the movie Frack Nation, which was favourably reviewed in Variety, New York Times, back when they did review movies that might have challenged their thinking.
I'm going to put those quotes up there on the screen so people can see them. If anyone didn't see them before, even the New York Times, even Variety had to concede that this was a really great documentary that challenged a lot of ideas that were out at the time, where fracking was going to cause cancer and all of this nonsense, and that we actually made that point and made it very strongly. Yes,
so Josh Fox's new movie is about Rebecca Jones, a so-called whistleblower from Florida. It's basically an anti-Ron DeSantis movie, and it's the life story of Rebecca Jones. The facts are uncontrovertible. Policies that pushed America to reopen its economy during the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020 increased COVID infections at a crucial moment when we could have controlled the disease. So Ron DeSantis has blood in his hands, basically. And anyway, famed whistleblower Rebecca Jones. And he's crowdfunding just like we crowdfunded. But what I really like is he's got 10 days to go. Actually, he's even got less now by the time you see this. And at this stage, according to my calculations, he's raised less than 30% of the funding. This guy, as he never ceases to remind you, he won a Golden Globe. He was nominated for an Oscar. He is a friend of the great and good. Mark Ruffalo is his best friend. I assume what's going to happen, or it is happening, is Mark Ruffalo
will come in at the last minute.
Well, he's probably put in 1,000 every so often, a few thousand every so often, so it looks okay. But he can't afford for this to fail, because then he will realise that it'll be obvious there's no support for Rebecca Jones' story. And just let me remind you of Rebecca Jones, the famed whistleblower. I mean, she was given whistleblower status by the Florida Inspector General, who then removed it because he found no evidence of what she said, that there was any cover-up, no evidence that she actually had the power to do what she was that she claims she was ordered to cover up the death toll. She wasn't part of that. She has, a fairly lengthy criminal background.
Ooh,
yes.
Criminal background?
Yes, in the sense that the Florida Office of Inspector General reported her claims were unsubstantiated and lacked sufficient evidence, and exonerated officials she was accused of wrongdoing. She was a misdemeanor, a misdemeanor charge on allegations of cyber stalking a former student who was also a romantic partner when she was teaching at some university, and publishing sexual details about their relationship online. She was fired from the Florida State University teaching position for threatening to give a failing grade to her romantic partner's roommate.
Oh,
yes,
that's not very nice, Phelim.
Yeah, so that's who Josh Fox is making the movie about. That's who he can't raise the money for. But don't worry, his rich millionaire and billionaire friends from Hollywood will jump in.
We'll help him.
It's all ahead of us, folks. Anyway, I'll keep you up to date on how Josh Fox gets on, because I'm monitoring it by the hour, by the day, and I expect to see a jump in subscriptions soon. So, in lieu of that, don't go to Josh Fox and give a subscription. Go to Unreported Story Society and give a subscription. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to unreportedstoriesociety.com. Go to unreportedstoriesociety.com. Please give us a donation. We'd really appreciate it. And that's it for now. I think we are in London, obviously. We are covering the Kevin Spacey trial. We expect a jury to come back before this goes out. So we're going to put if it doesn't go out, if the jury don't come back before this goes out, we're gonna do a little summary tomorrow anyway, and add that at the top of the show. So it's complicated. It's all complicated, but we want to keep it fresh and keep you up to date with the latest news.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.